What if I told you that the most dangerous woman is not the one with a knife behind her back, but the one with ambition in her eyes and a smile that hides a storm? Not because she's evil, not because she's broken, but because she's playing a game that Nietzsche warned us about, a game of power, where the mask is more terrifying than the monster underneath. You see, Nietzsche didn't hate women. He feared what power does to them. And maybe, just maybe, you felt it too, that strange, cold sensation when someone wants power, not to lead, not to protect, but to conquer, to bend truth, to seduce reality itself, to control, not connect. But here's the uncomfortable part. This isn't just about women. It's about something deeper, darker, more universal. It's about what happens when anyone, man or woman, worships power above all else, and what they become in the process. So let's go there. Let's peel back the veil. Let's face the thought you're afraid to say out loud. Nietzsche once wrote, "When a woman has scholarly inclinations, there is usually something wrong with her sexual nature." It sounds brutal, it sounds ignorant. But Nietzsche wasn't trying to be polite. He was trying to provoke the soul. He believed modern society was taming women, and in doing so, unleashing something far more dangerous. He saw power not as strength, but as deception. Not as leadership, but performance. And he feared a future where women, instead of embracing their unique spiritual force, would begin to imitate the worst traits of men, the thirst for domination, the egoic hunger for recognition, the addiction to control. But why? Why would he say, "Never trust a woman who seeks power"? Was he warning us or warning them? Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who fell in love with a brilliant woman. She was everything he admired. Intelligent, bold, fiercely, independent. She didn't just walk into a room, she commanded it. Every word was calculated, every smile a tactic. She loved him, but she loved the game more. At first he thought it was confidence. Then he realized it was strategy. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a throne. And he was just the ladder. This isn't fiction. It happens every day, in boardrooms, in bedrooms, in so-called empowered relationships that are really just silent wars. You see, power can seduce anyone, but when it seduces someone who's been denied it for centuries, it becomes vengeance in disguise. Nietzsche saw it happening. He saw the early signs of a cultural shift that would confuse dominance for freedom. And he wrote with fire in his pen, hoping anyone would listen. Are you listening? Let's be honest. You feel torn right now, don't you? Part of you resents what I'm saying, and another part, the quieter part, nods in the shadows, because you've seen it. You've lived it. You've watched someone chase power and lose themselves along the way. You've seen softness turned into manipulation, kindness warped into control, and maybe, just maybe, you've done it yourself. Nietzsche believed that the will to power wasn't just about rising, it was about overpowering, replacing humility with performance, replacing connection with control. And here's the question that stings. What if seeking power means surrendering your soul? Not just for women, for anyone, because power doesn't whisper, it devours, and those who seek it without understanding it become its slaves. If this speaks to something deep inside you, if it's stirring questions you've buried for too long, let's keep going together. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation, and I want you in it. So take a second to like, comment, or subscribe, not because I asked, but because something inside you wants to keep going. Because this is just the beginning. Let's dive deeper. Friedrich Nietzsche lived in a world where the roles of men and women were strictly defined, rigid, archaic, even cruel. But Nietzsche wasn't just reacting to culture. He was dissecting the soul. He believed that every individual, regardless of gender, wrestles with a hidden force inside them, the will to power. This is not power in the political sense, not power in the workplace, but something older, primal, a spiritual hunger to bend the world to your will. Nietzsche saw it clearly. When a man seeks power, the world calls it ambition. But when a woman seeks it, the world calls it dangerous. And maybe it is, not because women shouldn't be powerful, but because power is a poison, no matter who drinks it. You see, Nietzsche didn't say, never trust a powerful woman. He said, never trust the one who seeks it. The difference is massive. The one who seeks power isn't trying to build something greater. She's trying to replace something broken within herself. And that, Nietzsche believed, is where the real danger lies. Not in her strength, but in her wound. Because a wounded soul chasing power becomes something terrifying. Not a queen, but a tyrant wearing perfume. Let's bring in another voice, Carl Jung, Nietzsche's spiritual descendant. Jung believed every soul has a shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, repress, and bury. For many women, especially in Nietzsche's time, power itself was buried in the shadow, forbidden, taboo. But here's the twist. When something is repressed, it doesn't disappear. It mutates. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So when a woman, repressed for generations, begins to seek power, not from self-knowledge but from rage, she doesn't liberate herself. She unleashes her shadow, and that shadow, dressed in virtue, becomes seductive. Because now it looks like freedom, it looks like progress. Here's a brutal truth. Some people don't want to be loved, they want to be obeyed. And when a woman seeks power as revenge, on men, on history, on her past, she becomes exactly what she once feared. It's not about feminism. It's not about equality. It's about psychology. Power doesn't heal the wound, it hides it. Nietzsche believed that true strength is not in domination, but in overcoming the self, and this is where most people get it wrong. Both men and women. They think if they become the boss, if they get the title, if they win the game, then they'll feel whole. But you can't cover a spiritual hole with social success. You can't wear power like perfume and expect the soul to stop bleeding. And Nietzsche, with his ruthless clarity, was saying, don't trust the one who wants the crown more than they want to know themselves. But it's still a mask, a beautiful mask, hiding a broken mirror. You ever notice how some people talk about empowerment, but drip with resentment? That's not confidence, that's the shadow in heels. Nietzsche saw it coming. He wasn't afraid of women. He was afraid of what society was doing to them, pushing them from innocence into imitation, from soul into mask, from woman into weapon. Here's a brutal truth. Some people don't want to be loved. They want to be obeyed. And when a woman seeks power as revenge, on men, on history, on her past, she becomes exactly what she once feared. It's not about feminism, it's not about equality, it's about psychology. Power doesn't heal the wound, it hides it. Nietzsche believed that true strength is not in domination, but in overcoming the self. And this is where most people get it wrong, both men and women. They think if they become the boss, if they get the title, if they win the game, then they'll feel whole. But you can't cover a spiritual hole with social success. You can't wear power like perfume and expect the soul to stop bleeding. And Nietzsche, with his ruthless clarity, was saying, don't trust the one who wants the crown more than they want to know themselves. But now we must challenge Nietzsche too, because for all his insight, he also fell into the trap of his time. He saw the danger of women imitating masculine power, but he didn't fully understand the power that's already inside them. The feminine force, when it's not seeking but embodying, is something divine, not a queen, not a seductress. Not a mimic of masculinity, but a force of nature that creates, nurtures, destroys, and rebuilds, not out of ego, but out of life itself. Nietzsche saw the danger of the mask, but perhaps he missed the beauty of the truth underneath. The woman who doesn't seek power, but becomes power simply by being herself, free from mimicry, free from vengeance, is unstoppable. She doesn't need to dominate. She simply is, and that is the woman you can trust, because she's not wearing power. She's not chasing it, she's channeling it from somewhere far older than society, deeper than ambition, from the soul. Let me ask you something. Where do you seek power? Be honest. Is it in your career, your relationships, your social media persona? Do you try to control others because you're afraid of losing yourself? Do you chase attention because silence terrifies you? It's not just about women. It's not just about Nietzsche. This is about the war within every soul, the desire to be seen, and the fear of being truly known, because power without self-awareness is poison. But power that flows through self-knowledge, that's not control, that's grace. So stop trying to be powerful and start trying to be whole. Let's talk about the breaking point, because there's always a moment when the illusion shatters. The woman who sought power finds herself alone at the top, surrounded not by love, but by fear, admired, but not understood, followed, but never truly felt, and something inside her begins to crack, because power, when it's sought from a place of pain, is a drug. And like all drugs, the high fades, and what's left? Silence, loneliness, a cold echo in a room full of applause. This isn't just her story, it's ours. We all wear masks, we all chase approval, we all confuse visibility for value. But Nietzsche's warning wasn't just to men, it was to the soul. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. When you seek power without confronting your wound, you become the very thing you tried to escape. And if you're not careful, your identity becomes armor. You forget how to feel. You forget how to receive love because you only know how to earn it. That is the climax of Nietzsche's truth. The soul that seeks to dominate others has already lost the battle within. But here's the beauty. Here's the turning point. You don't need to keep pretending. You don't need to wear the mask anymore, because real power, the kind that doesn't corrupt, doesn't come from conquering others. It comes from confronting yourself. It comes from silence, from surrender, from shadow work. The woman who stops performing and starts healing doesn't need the throne. She becomes the storm, not loud, not boastful, but unshakable, because she's not reacting to the past anymore. She's not proving anything. She's simply being. That's the woman you can trust, not because she's soft, but because she's whole. And men, this is for you too. You don't need to fear her power. You need to fear the part of yourself that hasn't made peace with your own. You attract what you haven't healed. And if you fear a powerful woman, ask yourself, what part of your own power are you running from? Let's go back to Nietzsche. One final time. He was a man tormented by his own mind, a philosopher who danced with madness, a thinker who saw through society's lies, but sometimes couldn't see his own blind spots, his views on women. Complicated, controversial, sometimes unfair, but his core insight remains eternal. Power, when unexamined, becomes poison. So don't fear women. Don't worship them either. Don't put them on a pedestal or under your boot. Instead, see them not as threats, not as trophies, but as souls wrestling with the same hunger, the same fear, the same fire. And to the woman listening right now, I see you. You don't need to seek power. You already are power. But only if you remember who you were before the world told you to perform. So now we arrive here, at the quiet edge of this conversation. And I want to ask you something, not as a narrator, but as a voice inside your own mind. What mask are you still wearing? Who are you trying to impress? And what would it look like to let go, to stop performing power, and start embodying truth? If this resonated with you, even in the uncomfortable parts, then you're ready to stop hiding, ready to start healing, ready to be seen. This channel isn't just a place for ideas, it's a place for souls. So if you want to go deeper, further, higher, like, comment, subscribe, not as a favor, but as a statement that you're done pretending, that you're done fearing, that you're ready to face your shadow and rise from it. I'll be here every step of the way, because this isn't just a script, it's a mirror. And now that you've looked into it, who are you becoming?